Welcome to our little show where the wild ideas flow. We plant the seeds in dusty ground, watch them rise without a sound. Marketing dreams, tech extremes, AI's the spark behind the beams. Tales from the dirt road where the whispers turn bold. Stories twist and stories grow. Where will our story go? From gravel paths to starlit skies.
Um, Now, Liz, I think we're going to talk about this today, but we're going to talk about ASMR, right? Isn't that, we're marketing, advertising, sales, right? That's what it is. All those like humming, quiet musical pieces, right? I'm on the right track, right? There's same thing, ASMR and marketing, advertising. Are we get close?
Or I should grab my Stanley Cup and clink my nails against it, right? That's a big one too.
That's a
Yeah.
perfect one. Yes.
Yes.
Although, we could probably just watch those videos on the podcast. It'd be very boring for everyone else, but very calming for us. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, what you'll be listening to, or fortunately maybe, is Liz and I spin pontific poetic verbiage about marketing, advertising, and sales, and the difference of all tray, if you will. So, good morning. I'm Tony Van.
And I'm Liz Hirsch.
And we are ready to kick off just a baller conversation today. So, Liz, do you want to take one of those first, and then kind of like chew through them, or how would you like to do this today?
So first, let me say this. I both love and hate this conversation. I love it when you first meet a client or a prospect and they're like, "Hey, help me out. Help me understand the differences between advertising, marketing, sales, and sure, we'll throw in PR too, because that confuses the heck out of people," right?
Right.
So having that conversation with them early on, I love it. I'm like, oh, we're learning. I'm educating. I'm shaping you into this great client. And then 6 months down the road, we're having the same conversation
Yeah.
because I've done my job, but the sales piece is missing. And we'll dive into that.
That's kind of the hardest part. No one ever wants to deal with that. But yeah, I totally agree. I think it's
Yeah.
one of those things to pick up on that just a hair, that it's either that they say they understand at the beginning, or that they kind of forget about it, or like you say, candidly, the marketing and advertising particularly, although you do spend money, is kind of the sexiest part, like a better term.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, and kind of correct me if I'm wrong here, but the marketing side is the deep dive. So that is usually where you go in and you do the market research, the competition research, if you will. A lot of clients, to your point, don't like this part, which is we basically do a deep dive in what you've been doing as an organization or business, what's, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and sometimes they don't like that.
Right.
And then setting up the traps, cues, funnels, whatever you want to call it, which are basically the hard work from that research on, okay, so this is how we're going to basically market, brand, position your service or product, and get ready for that. So that's kind of my perspective of marketing in a very small nutshell. What about you, Liz? What are your thoughts?
So, excuse me, I agree. Sometimes I like to cut like right to the chase.
Whoa.
And I know, right? Because, attention spans are short. So, uh, marketing and advertising, there's a lot of overlap there, but the purpose of that is to generate leads for your sales team. Or if you're an e-commerce or a solo entrepreneur, it's, to generate leads for someone to close.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
that in my mind, that's that you strip everything away, and that's really what it boils down to. But I like where you went with that because people want to jump right into, oh, let's get a video out, let's run an ad campaign, let's get something sexy and splashy out. And it's like, well, hang on now.
Yeah.
We got to think through this a minute.
That's exactly, you're so right. And I totally understand it. I think sometimes my clients look at me and go, "Oh, you're no fun." Like they're almost like your children, right? But it's like, no, see, what you have to do is you have to build this foundation. And that foundation, in my opinion, is really held in the marketing research, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about this before, but marketing is also not sales. So for instance, and I always joke, but I, kind of blame my realtor friends because they'll say like, "Oh, I'm going to market your house." Well, kind of, sort of. I mean, with other tools, they do it more with websites now. But back in the day when they started turning that, they were just saying they were going to sell your house. Like we're just going to sell your house. So but yeah, I agree. So then we kick off into what do you call it? It's like the eye candy, if you will, of the process, the advertising. I mean, it's the naughty little blah 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 that we all want to, that's the we look at and say, okay, we have all this marketing data. We really want to figure out how to, like you say, drive that traffic to the marketing funnels you've just set up. So that's where you get to do the fun videos, or you get to do the really, hot looking pictures, or whatever that looks like for the advertising side, right?
Right, right. And then
Um,
I almost think marketing kind of steps in again a little bit because once a lead is generated, and by the way, that doesn't mean that somebody has filled out a form necessarily, but it could, it could be that, somebody has visited a site, requested some information. Um, yeah, that lead or opportunity, it might be, if they're ready to make a move, it might be sales qualified, as some people will kind of quantify it, but maybe it's just marketing qualified, and there needs to be additional nurturing, right?
yeah,
And
yeah, and
so,
such really
yeah.
good point. Glad you brought that because we're setting this. I feel like I'm setting this up to be very defined or delineated. Marketing is a bucket, advertising a bucket, and then ultimately sales is a bucket. But the
Sure.
reality is, like what you're saying, it vacillates. Like it is so fluid between steps. But I feel like if you don't know kind of the temperature of the water you're in, then you're not going to realize kind of what's going on, like a better term. But to your point,
Yeah.
excellent point, that you're always doing these things kind of all at the same time. I would also kind of insert here that marketing costs money. So a lot of times people don't think, oh, well, no, marketing costs money, whether that's IP, intellectual property of the person that you're, hiring. Is it customer surveys? Whatever that looks like, that costs money. As we all know, advertising cost money, right? So, and not to be hardcore, but this isn't like the $20 I'm going to boost something on Google. Like real advertising costs money. So make sure your budget for both of those things. And then go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, you're right. That clients, internal teams, they want to rush through that marketing strategy phase, and I'm like, oh my God, that's where you should, really dive in. I mean, we don't do a ton of, I mean, it's not my wheelhouse, right? I'm not conducting focus groups and doing those types of deep market research on a regular basis, but I've had conversations with companies and consultants that do that, and they've shared some fantastic stories about companies that have come to them with a great idea, and somebody was smart enough to say, hey, let's do a little market research, let's really see if there's a market here. And sometimes there hasn't been, and it's like, wow, okay, we just saved millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Or we honed the strategy to take our to take our advertising budget and make it go further.
Yeah, which is great point. Like you think it's going to cost you more, but really sometimes it's less. And then you can redefine your budget before you get into the advertising process generally. So yeah, it's just important to go through the steps like you mentioned. And then the last but never least, and probably one of the most important, which everyone shies away from, is the sales, is actually going. So you've made your plan in the marketing side, if you will. You've executed the plan. In other words, you've laid the bait in the advertising plan. You have to get the traps out there, and those traps or hunters or whatever you want to call them have got to go. And sometimes in a solopreneur situation, that's either the owner, the owner's family, or whatever. If you have a sales force, get them out. But they need to be integrated in the process so that they, put their leads in a CRM. Then you have a drip marketing campaign that you developed in the marketing side to help them out. Like this is all a process. And to your point, I'm going to set you back up. To your point is some people just don't do this last step. They just feel like everything's set or they don't want to do it, right?
Yeah, the reality is in the small business world, most people just want to be order takers. It, it and that's a shame, I think, because I think sales, if people would shift their thinking and get rid of this idea of the sleazy used car salesman
Yeah.
and say, no, I'm going to be somebody who provides value, who educates and helps people make the right buying decision. Maybe they're not buying my product. Maybe they're in my world, right? Like sometimes I look at people, I'm like, you're not ready for me.
Right.
They're not ready for us yet. And that's okay. But shifting your thinking from order taker to truly being a thought leader and an educator to help people make the right decision. And then, oh my gosh, then you build so much trust and
Oh, yeah.
create a really, really sticky client. One who will give you repeat business or refer the heck out of you. So yeah, I think more people should embrace sales. Again, that's on the small business side, or if you're in a solopreneur type space. When you get into different business models, like let's say you're selling windows, right? And like you said, yeah, you might have a sales team who's the leads come in, the appointments are made, and somebody's physically going out to that location. That's a whole different beast. And I don't provide sales training. I've gone through sales training, so I
Hmm.
can certainly comment on it, but ooh, you got to have the right people in those seats, and they got to be well trained, and they got to be able to navigate objections, build rapport, closing the sale, right? Like there's, in as my business is growing, I'm taking a look at what sales looks like, and I'm like, oh, I probably need somebody who's just doing some really basic grunt work. Like find me names of companies who could be a good fit for us, right? Like
That's right.
that's just truly kind of basic admin work, right? And then I'm stepping in to do the discovery calls, and close the sale too, right? Like
Hmm.
that's a whole piece to the, sales funnel as well. So,
Yeah. No.
all of these buckets have these subsectors and,
Hmm.
sub roles, when you're a small team, you're going to be wearing a lot of those hats yourself.
Right. That's right. That's right. But you can also set yourself up or your sales team up for success. Like that's the other thing is that I feel like exactly what you're talking about. If you provide the education or the opportunities for a conversation for a sales leader or sales team, then that makes it much more much easier if they do have objections or if they are trying to work through something than if they go in, cold. And so oftentimes what I'll see when we're working with clients is the sales team will say, I just need a brochure. I just need maybe, but what they really need is for us to do a better job on the front end to explain the need for the product or service so that when they roll in, the objections are either already met or there is a base understanding of the product or service. And so, yeah, of course, brochures are great or business cards are great. I always used to joke that, a good salesperson could just use a business card because you had laid the foundation for them through the marketing and advertising so well. The reality is that's probably not the case, but, and I hate to say this, but salespeople also really always want to refer to some sort of crutch as well. And so you have to break that from them too. So I think there's kind of that give and take, that 6-7, if you will, of the whole, side. And, I think we've really just, discovered the differences and the symbiotic relationship, no cap, if you will, for marketing, advertising, and sales. Is that? I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, one of my more recent takeaways from some of the work I'm doing for myself and in my entrepreneurship groups is it's a process, it's a journey. I think if you've been listening to our podcast for the last couple weeks and months, I think I've shared, we've been updating our SOPs, and it's one thing to get everything on paper, but having everything well documented, you got to test it, you got to try it and tweak
right.
it.
That's right.
Because and that's what I'm doing now. Like Q3 was all about, okay, what are the 5 campaigns that I really need to have a handle on to, keep the marketing, advertising, and sales wheels turning, and now I'm testing, and we're probably going to do revisions in Q1 of 2026, and that's okay. That's part of the process.
Yeah. And, it's a perfect way to kind of illustrate the fact that this isn't in a vacuum. I mean, used to be very frustrated. I still get frustrated with people that create marketing, do the marketing side, do the whole thing, build the budget, set the advertising for the entire year, throw the marketing plan in the desk drawer, don't look at it again for 11 and a half months until it's time to do the, like, don't do that. This is a living, breathing, organic process document. Like, live it, match it with the budget, figure it out.
Yeah. And especially right now, because there's so much change. Like this, Tony, this is a topic I think we should talk about soon. That top of the funnel, that time when a consumer is educating themselves on, like pick something, right? Is it a sweater? Is it a car? Is it a bicycle? Like fill in the blank, right? Whatever it is, that process of educating themselves on what they need, what they want, that is shifting so drastically with AI and just with, and we've touched on this a little bit, all these niche channels that people can go to for information. It's just changing so much. So yeah, so if you set your plan for the next year, if you set it in December and then just let it ride for 10, 11, like you're screwed. Like it's not going to go well.
No. And people do that. Like, that's the thing. So that's why it's important to have someone that's professional helping you through, navigating you through. And that's not necessarily just hiring an agency or just hiring someone. Like, sometimes that's having a department, that's having someone that is a specialist, if you will, in those different areas of communication. And you mentioned, and we can come to this as well, we didn't even talk about public relations, we didn't even talk about media relations, we don't talk about stockholder relate. I mean, so there's so many things that interwoven with this, for sure. So
yeah,
it's good. Well, although we did not click nails or chew bananas or whatever else for the ASMR folks, I hope I didn't leave you down. I'll maybe post a couple of fun YouTubes just in case you want to do that. But this has been a really great conversation about 3 very important buckets in which we fill as communication professionals. So
definitely.
Very good. Well, for that, I will sign off. I am Tony Van.
And I'm Liz Hirsch.
And we hope you'll join us next week for another amazing Tales from the Dirt Road. We'll see you.
See you next time.
From gravel paths to starlit skies, we chase the sparks with open eyes. The future hums in the air tonight. Every step feels like first light. Will it bend like a willow or roar like a stream? Will it build a new world